My name is Arun Raman. I'm a research scientist at the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, which is formerly known as the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago. I'm also a professor in the Feinberg School of Medicine at Northwestern University, Chicago. I run the Max Nader Center for Rehabilitation Technologies and Outcomes Research. In this, majority of my work is on rehabilitation robotics, wearable robotics, and other assistive and adaptive technologies. So the mandate of the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab is to provide individuals with disabilities the ability to get back to pre-morbid levels of life. So as part of my job, I access technologies across the world, from wearable robotics to artificial limbs and wheelchairs, assistive and adaptive technologies. The fundamental issue we still face is a technology which can be used across the continuum of the care model, is affordable, and at the same time provides clinical outcomes which are much more superior to what is currently available in the market. So the mandate of the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab is not only to provide the best rehabilitation care for people within the United States, but also transfer our knowledge and technology to people across the world. But one of the biggest drawbacks we've been facing is a lot of the technology we work on is not affordable to most part of the world, and the technology is not transferable in a way that any layperson across the world can use it. So one of the reasons I started working with this company called Bionic Yantra, which is based in India, is they were working on a wearable robotic technology with a body weight support system, which not only can be affordable, but also can be used across the spectrum of disability. Traditionally, a lot of these technologies are purely designed either for spinal cord injury or stroke or multiple sclerosis. So that just makes it not financially viable as well as clinically viable, because hospitals, capital budgets allow them only to buy one or maximum of two devices, in most places one device, and if this device can be only used for one disease state, it just doesn't make it practical. So when Bionic Yantra came up with this brilliant idea of making a device which can easily fit across the disease spectrum and is affordable, there was no question of us not wanting to work with them, because that's part of my team's mandate, but also the mandate of the Ability Lab. So when you're in an inpatient or an outpatient setting in a hospital, you see people with different levels of disability within the same disease state, but you also see different disease states, which means within a stroke you have a mild stroke, a moderate stroke, or a severe stroke. Just to put it simply, you have an incomplete spinal cord injury. Within that you could have a severe incomplete, a higher level injury, a lower level injury, a high fall risk, a low fall risk. So a lot of times when you devise a technology, you want the technology not only to be able to cater to a larger population, which means people with different disease states, but also within the same disease state, you want it to be able to cater to different levels of impairment and to be able to progress somebody to a natural recovery. So one of the things that the RARE system has been devised is a combination of a body weight support system and an exoskeleton. What does the body weight support system provide you with? It provides you with body weight support, obviously, but it also gives you an automatic robotic system which moves the body weight system without having additional staffing need to push it. A lot of body weight support system needs others to push it, which doesn't make it practical, because now you're having additional staff plus the system which needs to be pushed, so there's no economics to it. So this system provides you, automatically moves along with the patient. The other big problem with people with disabilities is the high fall risk. The big advantage of the RARE system is the body weight support system will catch you in real time when the patient falls. It uses an eloquent system of sensors and advanced machine learning algorithms which are able to identify if the person is in standing, sitting, walking, or doing other activities within the system, and will react to any perturbation or movement based on that. So that's a big advantage. The other things are their handrails. So normally a patient with disability who is attempting any kind of walking or gait training, you either have therapists, multiple therapists holding on to them, or they're using a walker, crutch, which sometimes can perturb them because it's in the way. But the advantage of this system is you don't have to hold on to anything, even though there are some side rails. And additionally, there's seating for the clinicians if they want to sit and manually move the patient's leg or things like that. And now let's come to the exoskeleton. Most exoskeletons are heavy because you have the battery packs and the hardware and the computer system all implanted within the whole exoskeleton, which makes it a heavy device, and it's difficult for patients to walk because when you're disabled, you're weak. And now you have a heavy system with a battery pack and a computer set which is attached to your back or your waist. Now you're kind of tilting forward and you're at high fall risk. So then you have to depend on a crutch or a walker or a clinician also in the back to hold on to you. The advantage of the RARE system is the battery, the computer, everything is embedded in the A-frame, which is the body weight support system. So all you are attached to is the motors, and otherwise, so the frame is light, which makes it easier for a person for disability to walk. And again, you don't need a clinician holding onto you in the back because the body weight support system is holding onto you. And the other issue with this is there are a lot of sensors which are in real time, again, from the exoskeleton and the body weight system feeding in to real time, where you're able to access what the intent of the patient is, how can you progress the patient to different levels of recovery. And so it's a comprehensive system in a way that ideally you would be using 2 or 3 different technologies at a time to treat a patient. In this case, you have everything packaged into one. So in hospitals and clinics where affordability is down to one device, it makes very logical sense to invest in something like this, because now the clinician can work on multiple patients with multiple impairments and multiple disabilities at the same time without worrying about switching technologies given a short time they have to treat each patient. So when you're a rehabilitation hospital or a clinic which is investing in rehabilitation, what you can do is afford one device at max per year or even once in 5 years. The advantage of the RARE system is it's 3 devices in one. To put it simply, it provides fall detection, fall prevention, and fall recovery. It allows for hands-free treatment where there is no need for clinicians, and also has the ability to treat a larger population of people with disabilities, and within each disability different levels of impairment. In an average day of a therapist, a clinical physical therapist sees about 8 to 10 patients, and they get about 45 minutes to 1 hour to treat each patient. And a lot of times the focus is to treat the patient but not take clinical notes and perform clinical outcome measures. So it's very difficult, even though there is significant value to making note taking and performing clinical outcome measures. Pure time and finances doesn't allow a lot of clinicians in a lot of places across the world to perform this. So one of the things which the device does is provide onboard sensors to real-time collect clinical outcome measures, but also metrics which therapists would do in note-taking. And all of this data is in real-time uploaded to a cloud server where machine learning algorithms can analyze this information, come up with prediction models, or give note-taking capabilities, which for the same therapist or a different therapist on the next day will provide them enough automated information which will help them guide the treatment session.